Okay. Hello, everybody, on this goodbye to March and Good Friday, Gooder Friday. We hope that it's a good Friday for you. I'm Robin Galinsky, and this is Dr. Dennis Becker. And today's podcast is going to be helping you really evaluate whether or not any of the relationships you're in are healthy or not healthy, because there are three essential things. Now, before we get into that, I do want to say that healthy relationships, or let's say happiness, like a lot of happiness comes from being in healthy relationships, is your birthright as a human being. Not only do you have the right to be happy and healthy as a human, no matter what country you're in, you have the duty to make sure that you're happy and healthy. You have the responsibility for you. No one else is going to do it for you. No government, no mother, nobody. If they do, they're probably enabling you, and that's not a good thing, and that's another show. So today, Dennis, we're going to talk about those three essential things you must have in any relationship that you consider to be healthy.
Hmm.
And
Is one of them outdoors like you are right now? Those of you who can't see her, she's in a beautiful setting, outdoor sunny day. Is one of
so
them those?
yes, I'm letting go of the unpredictableness of what might happen. I might get hit in the face with a leaf. I mean,
Or a
who
bird?
knows what'll happen? It's a little bit risky, but I don't mind. I had to give up my shed for a guest bedroom, so
Boy.
I'm outside, and fortunately, it is beautifully perfect out here in Florida. So hopefully, all will go well. But the birds are going to be my background.
Oh, the three things are, go ahead.
The three things are one, are you able to express your feelings? Now, this is a lot on you. Are you able to express your feelings specifically? Are you able to express them in a way that you're not blaming somebody else? You're simply saying how something is making you feel. And when I say specific, I mean, I feel bad when you say that. I feel very embarrassed when you bring that subject up. That's what I mean by specificity.
Mhm.
Second one, when you do this, is the other person hearing you? Are they able to hear you? And what we're looking for is, are you able to finish your sentence? Are they making eye contact with you? Are they using what we call paralanguage, where they're nodding? Do they paraphrase, in other words, echo it back to you to make sure they heard you right? Do they behave as though they care? Or do they defend themselves, cut you off, minimize your feelings, reframe what you said, or negate what you said? Okay, so that's step two. So, first thing, can you express how you feel? Second thing, is the other person receptive to hearing it? And the third thing, the most important thing, because most people have step one and step two, and then they repeat. Step three, that is essential. Think of it as a stool with three legs. It don't work when one of the legs is missing. You're not going to be able to sit on this healthy relationship stool if you don't have three legs. The third one is that the person demonstrates they heard you and respected what you said, cared about what you said, accepted what you said about how you felt by changing their behavior. And Dennis, I'll pause there because I've talked a lot.
Yeah, but we're used to that.
I know, but you don't have to tell everybody. Somebody might be new and they're not quite used to
Oh,
it yet.
I
They're
see.
gonna think that
Okay.
they're gonna think that I'm really calm and
Well, folks, what we're talking about, those of you who have been with us for a long time now, those of you who know us, know that we're all about manipulation. And what Robin's talking about today is about relationships, but we're also focusing on the relationships you have with a manipulator. And one of the ways you can tell whether you're with a manipulator or not, or any good relationship for that matter, is how do these three things work out? Are they in there? Are they in place? Can you do that? Do
I
you get
need
that
to add
reaction?
something, of course. Thank you for
Oh,
your invitation.
oh, okay. Go ahead, Robin.
Actually, this is any relationship can be
Yeah.
evaluated with these 3 criteria.
Right.
So you may not know whether you're in a manipulative relationship or not.
Hmm. Hmm.
These 3 things will help you evaluate that very quickly.
That's right. That's right. Particularly the third one, and because people have odd ways of reacting, responding to when you're talking to them. They may not look at you. They may not give you any feedback while you're talking. Okay, that may be their way. It'd be nice if they did give you some more reaction and a response, perhaps of steps 1 and 2. It'd be nice. Okay. But if you don't get it, let's see what happens with number 3. That will tell you whether or not they actually heard you and are actually responding, reacting to what you said in those 3 steps, particularly step number 3. Now, as Robin said, if you don't know if you're in a manipulative relationship, this is one way to tell. This is one way to find out because manipulators are not going to allow you to be in charge. They'll listen to you say these 3 things, but then let's see what happens. And how does it happen? You say 1, you say 2, it's fine. Now you get to step 3. They have to demonstrate it. How do they do that? To your satisfaction, in an interesting way, in a curious way, in not the right way? This is going to give you a good way to determine whether or not you are in a relationship with a manipulator.
Many of us were raised in homes where the relationships were not healthy, the ones that were modeled for us and the ones that were the way we were treated as children. And therefore, it becomes very difficult to figure these things out. But you are responsible for figuring them out. Once you're an adult, no matter what happened to you in your childhood, no matter how you were treated, no matter how you were indoctrinated, the responsibility for your healthiness and your happiness is on you and your choices. So this is a tool that can help you strengthen you, hopefully, make better choices about where you're going to invest your time, your energy, your love, your caring, all of the above.
Mhm, mhm,
It will help you choose more carefully. So we could go through step by step because there's a lot of red flags that happen along the way.
mm,
Oftentimes, step 1, if you were raised in, and Dennis, I know you and I were raised very differently. We're different generations, we're different genders, and we had dramatically different parental experiences. Dennis's parents were married and they had structure and they worked and they paid their bills and they weren't rich, but they were responsible. I had teenage parents who barely knew each other and were not responsible at all and didn't know what they were doing at all. So it was a dramatically different situation. But whatever situation you were born into, that's what you know. And a lot of times you can't even do step 1 because you don't even know. Nobody's ever told you that you have a right to be happy. You have a right to express your feelings and a right to expect the other person you're in a relationship to actually care about,
mhm.
validate, and respect those feelings. You may
And
not
what
even know how you feel because no one's ever let you express your feelings.
and for those of you who have been with us for a long while or you've read the book, you know that this is what we talk about all the time. With a manipulator, and we're not talking specifically about a manipulator using these 3 things, we're using it only with a manipulator, but with a manipulator, they will understand these 3 things and they will give you a different reaction than what perhaps you may be thinking you're going to get. Let's take it step by step, Robin. In step
Mhm.
number 1, where you want to speak and say what you think and say your feelings, go ahead, Robin.
You
Do
want to be
number,
you be my unhealthy partner?
yeah, go ahead. I'll be the
Okay.
manipulator. Go ahead.
So Dennis, remember when I introduced you to my new friend when we were in the town square the other day?
I do.
Okay, well, you brought up the fact that I was fired from my last job,
Mm,
and that was very embarrassing for me. I
mm.
barely know her. This is not something this is something I've asked you not to share, and I find it just embarrassing, humiliating, and not it's not a good situation for me.
Yeah, but you know what? The way you presented her to me, and the way I get the impression I got with her, is that she's very nice. She likes you. You guys are good friends, and so you don't have any reason to feel that way. I mean, you're overreacting. You don't have
Okay,
to
so he's
feel that.
negating my feelings.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, now it may take you a lot of courage to say this, and you may even be shaky and scared to say it because you're used to people. You've been conditioned for people to tell you you're wrong, you're stupid, you're sensitive, my favorite. You're too sensitive.
Hmm.
All of the things that you've heard over and over again, and you're just afraid that those things might be true, and maybe you are sensitive sometimes, but that
Hmm.
doesn't mean that you
Hmm.
didn't genuinely feel that way, and you don't have
Hmm.
a right
Hmm.
to say it. So he
Hmm.
might do that. He might negate it. There's other
Hmm.
ways. There's other things he can do.
Yeah. Well, listen, Robin, you told me about the friend that you got fired, but listen, she may be your friend, but let's face it, you got fired for things that you did. You're not really up to that job. You shouldn't have been
We're
in that
not
job to
talking
begin with.
about excuse me, we're not talking about the whether I got fired or not is a fact. It is a fact. I told you that I am very embarrassed when you bring it up to other people, and I've asked you not to do that.
Well, I just think you're overreacting and you're just too sensitive. So whatever.
Okay, so you don't even get past step 1. If you're in a
Mhm.
relationship like that,
Right.
RUN,
Mm-hmm.
run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Run. As soon as this podcast is over, make your plans because it's not gonna get better.
Yeah.
It's just not. Now,
Yeah.
a really good sophisticated manipulator, though, they don't
No.
usually show their hand on step 1,
No. It's too
right?
easy.
So
Do
let
it
me give
again.
you and
Do it
Dennis, by
again.
the way, I may coach you at being a manipulator because
I'm not very good at it, or what?
well, yeah, I mean, you could have more game.
Do
And
it
now
again.
I'm outing myself, but,
We'll try another one. Do it again.
all right. So, why don't you be the
No, go ahead. I'm going
person.
to show you. I want to show the folks a different
I wanna be
tactic.
the manipulator. You do it.
Oh, geez.
You don't like talking about your feelings because 'cause you're a man. Is that what you're gonna say? Just do it.
You know, the other day, Robin, when we were over at the restaurant, I introduced you to Ted. He's a good friend of mine, but uh, you know, I had to talk to him about the idea of being fired from my job, and it was awkward to say that in front of you. I didn't want to do that, and it just made me feel awkward to have you there looking at me and watching me, and say, I just felt bad about it.
No, see what I mean? You can't no. How is that manipulative?
Oh, easy, easy, easy. If you
No,
said that, yes,
you're expressing your feelings to me. So
yeah.
I want you to tell me something that I did that makes you feel badly or embarrassed or exposed or you're telling me your feelings.
Mhm.
Just so give me something that I made you feel badly about.
When you talk like that in front of other people, it makes me feel like, who the heck am I? I don't want to be in on this sort of thing. I felt a little embarrassed for you. I felt embarrassed standing there, for crying out loud. You shouldn't talk like that in front of other
Oh
people.
my gosh, what are you are you seriously you know what? You are so sensitive. You think everything's about you, don't you, Dennis? You're just sitting there thinking nobody cares, okay? You just need to just get over yourself. Okay? So I may go on the
Mm.
offense.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
basically by doing that, I'm telling him he's wrong. He's wrong to have those feelings.
Mhm.
He doesn't know himself. Okay, and this is how they undermine you
Mhm.
constantly.
Okay, now let me show you a variety of that, folks. Listen to this. Robin, you be you,
You can
and
only manipulate nicely, I
yeah,
know, but
watch
that's
this.
good.
Watch
You
what's
can do
going to
the nice
happen. Go
okay.
ahead. Do it
I'm gonna be
again.
me, so I'm
Yeah,
to bring
yeah.
something up?
I'm using a different tactic, folks.
Okay,
Pay
so
attention.
Dennis, when I'm trying on clothes and you tug at them to show me where they're too tight, I find it really offensive.
Oh, geez, I feel so bad about that. I mean, you're so you're so attractive in terms of the way you dress that I just want to be sure that things are working well for you, because but now I really feel bad
There you
that I
go.
made you feel bad. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean
That's
to do
it.
that. There it is.
That's the harder to spot
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
manipulation.
He doesn't mean it, but that's the way he's sliding out of it.
Yeah, not
Slippery.
only does he not
Yep.
mean it, but he did not address
Mm-hmm.
my feelings. He
No, I can.
didn't
He actually wants to make her feel bad for saying it. Oh,
exactly.
like she now needs to pity me. See,
Yes.
so you can manipulate in a lot of different ways, folks.
So now let's say, and this happens a lot, a really good manipulator will fly through steps 1 and step 2 with colors, with
Mm-hmm.
doing the right thing. So I'll just kind of throw it out there to zip it along. So let's say, hey, Dennis, um, when the kids were watching TV too loud with their friends, it was embarrassing for them when you came in there and yelled at them. And, I don't think you should do that in front of the kids' friends.
Hmm.
Now, if he's a really wants to fly through step 2, you would say what? Do the right thing in step 2.
If I want to, so yeah, I hear you're upset about that. I hear that, and I know it bothers you. Uh, but I feel like I want to protect you and protect the kids from getting a bad reputation.
No, 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 no. The right way to get through step 2 is saying it's saying,
I can't be a good manipulator. It
I
sounds like
know, I thank God.
you'll be the
I
manipulator.
know I can, and it's scary, but
My goodness.
it's saying, "I'm sorry, I will never do it again."
Yeah.
Right? That's how you fly through step 2. "Oh, I had no idea the kids were embarrassed by that. You're so right, sweetheart. I
Hmm.
won't do that again."
Okay.
And then what happens in step 3?
Now he has to be able, your manipulator has to be able to show that he meant what he said. And the next time it happens, that he has a different behavior around that same activity.
Right. So it never happens again, right? Well, I don't know, 2 weeks from now, he does it again.
Hmm.
He does it again.
Yeah.
What you can take away from that is he did not accept it. He didn't respect it. He didn't care about how you felt.
Hmm.
He simply wanted to pacify you in the moment. Perhaps one of the kid's mothers was standing there and the kid was rattled and upset by him yelling. And so he wanted to put on a show and show that he was gallant, not goofus. If you've read Highlights magazine, that he was
Hmm.
the gallant man and he was going to say and do the right thing. But
Hmm.
now you have to have proof in the pudding, which
Hmm.
is the behavior going to change?
Hmm.
And when it
Hmm.
doesn't, well, my friend, you are trying to put your weight and relax on a two-legged stool, and you're
Hmm.
never going to be able to relax. You're never going to feel secure.
Hmm.
It ain't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's important to be able to understand these three separate steps and that you are actually in control of all three of them. You control the way that they work, that you do number one, number two, number three, that they respond to you in that order.
Absolutely.
And it gives you control to be able to do it. And it gives you information. Now, it's not going to stop the manipulation. It's not going to stop the behavior necessarily. But as we've said to you many, many times, when these kind of things happen, what do? Write it in your notes, put it in your journaling, because these behaviors that manipulators or other people have, they're going to repeat themselves. They like patterns, particularly if they see that by doing or saying whatever they did, it got to you. If it gets
Mhm.
to you and they see that, they'll keep it and they'll do it again because it worked. So that's why your behavior, your reaction, and your response to their response and reaction is so important because they're making a note of it. Maybe mental at the moment, but you should write it in your notes of how you got that reaction. So you're going to see it again, and that will help you prepare for then the next time that you see it or what to do in one of
Well,
these three
what the
steps.
notes do is they make it so that you cannot deny your own reality, because
Yeah.
that's the slippery slope with
Oh.
step 3. Most likely when the person who you've said, "This upsets me, this is embarrassing to me, this is upsetting our children when you do this," whatever, and, you know, you demonstrate to them you don't care by repeating it in step 3, then they will start to you you, the
Yeah.
target, will start to manipulate yourself by saying,
Oh, he's
well,
in a
he
bad
worked too
mood.
long of a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was hungry. Well, they
Yeah.
provoked him. The kids knew, they
Yeah.
jacked up that volume after he walked in the door. They were asking for it. So you start to sell yourself your brain's trying to reconcile
Mhm.
what's being demonstrated to you,
And you may
which
even
is
blame yourself. You may say,
yes, you will.
"Yeah, I should have known the kids were, I could have easily told them to turn it down. I don't have to wait for him." You begin to blame yourself for crying out loud.
Well, oftentimes what you do is just about anything, right, Dennis, that will prevent you from having to face the truth,
Mhm.
face the reality, and accept this
Yeah.
is never going to change.
Mhm.
And you're just going to keep repeating this cycle over and over
Mhm.
again. And the cost to you is a deep erosion of your own sense of well being, your
Mhm.
own happiness. Next
Mhm.
thing you know, you look in the mirror and you don't even know who you are, and half your life's gone. So
Mhm.
that's how, I mean, I know that paints it dark, but I think it's important to, if you're going to get motivated to take action, to take control of your own happiness and well-being, you have to really see what's the dark side of this. It
Mhm.
doesn't get better. You aren't going to be able to manage your way out of it.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
not.
And I know it will feel that way. You will justify it to yourself and you'll rationalize it. Oh, the kids were extra noisy, or,
Oh, the
uh,
manipulator will make you feel that way too because
oh,
they want to
yeah.
keep you on the hook.
Oh, of
Oh
course.
my gosh, you're right. We did have that
Yeah.
conversation. What was
Yep.
I thinking?
Yep.
Oh, you sweetheart.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh, that
yeah.
must have been
Mhm. Mhm.
embarrassing for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen again. I just think I had a long day at work. I'm the
Yeah.
one paying the bills. I'm the one working day. Guilt, guilt,
Oh,
guilt. Yeah,
oh, yeah. Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
There's a million, right? There's a
Yep.
million ways.
Yep.
But this is a mindset. Today's episode is more about mindset and strengthening your mindset and you understanding that you have a right, a
Mhm.
duty, more than a right. You have a duty to create a happy life for yourself.
Mhm.
You don't have a duty to sacrifice the real estate in your brain, the energy, the good energy that you have. You don't, it's wrong for you to erode your own self just to keep this manipulator happy. Nothing
Mhm.
good's going to come from it.
Mhm. See, now we've been talking in all of our time with you. We've been talking about the tactics that the manipulator uses, the techniques that you can use to protect yourself. So, Robin, where does this fit? Tactics, techniques? Where have we taught them things that they can use as techniques? Because this is not really a tactic, but what is this three-step part?
No,
How would
this
you
is on the
define it?
target side. This is
Yes.
the evaluation technique
Yeah, that's right.
for you to evaluate every relationship that you're in. And mind you,
Right.
we talk about people who don't know how to communicate without manipulating, right? That's
Mhm.
our focus. But
Correct.
there are people who are just manipulative sometimes. We're all
Mm.
manipulative, but there are people who just they can be very manipulative when they really want their way. But otherwise, they're kind
Mhm.
of normal and they can be your friend. But boy, oh boy, like my friend Sarah, if she has her sights on a man, then she gets really manipulative, and that's
Mhm.
at all costs, and she has to go after this guy, or I don't know, it could be situational like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a way for you to get your head on straight in a simplified way. But
Mhm.
first you have to know, how do you feel? And
Mhm.
if you've been raised and immersed and indoctrinated by a manipulator, as I was, manipulative parents, I had a therapist ask me how I felt. I couldn't answer the question.
Mhm.
And he asked me like 6 times, and I said, I don't know," and I kept talking about everybody else and how everybody else felt because I learned that it didn't matter how I felt. It only
Right.
mattered how everybody else felt,
Right.
and it really rattled me,
Mhm.
and,
Mhm.
this was in my late 30s, and I had to go and sit with that, and why don't I know how I feel? How
Mhm.
can I not know how I feel? How do I feel? Well,
Mhm.
every time I got close to how I felt like, "Well, that's wrong. I shouldn't feel that way."
Mm. Mm, mm,
Well
mm.
well, hello. Where did
Yeah.
that how was that? That was programmed into me, that my
Yeah.
feelings were wrong.
Mhm.
So, it's very hard to untangle this, and the longer you are around a manipulator, whether it was innocently as a child or by choice as an adult, and remember that it's your choice, you can get out of it, um, you aren't going to get healthier or stronger.
And remember that what we're saying to you, if somebody comes home, yeah, I had a rough day, and it doesn't mean you're being manipulated. Every time you hear something like this in a situation like that, and they complain, let's take the TV, complain about that. You say what you should do. Step number one, step number two,
Right.
and the end is perhaps he or she just had a bad day at work. They're
Thank
not
God for Dennis.
necessarily manipulating you.
If they only listened to me, they would think,
Yeah, I think everybody does this all the time. Come on,
well,
it's not true.
that's why we're partners. So,
So,
you
but
know,
the reason,
yeah,
folks, that you're with us is probably because you are aware of, or you suspect, or you want to protect yourself from being in a manipulation situation, a manipulative relationship. Okay, that's fine. If you are in one, then these 3 steps really help you. They will tell you particularly, what your manipulator feels or thinks or does or doesn't do. You're adding up points. Now, if you're not sure if you're dealing with a manipulator, this is a good way to find out. Do they in fact do what they say they're going to do? Is the action that was prescribed or agreed upon, did it actually happen? Did the behavior change? That doesn't mean that if it didn't change, no, maybe the guy had another bad day. You got to blame
mm,
him twice. How
mm,
often does this go on?
mm.
No, you can't do it just around
Well,
one
so
issue, one thing. You
good
got to
point.
do it several times to find out in the relationship in several ways, several different situations. When you do step one and you do step two and step three, what happens? If it's repeated that it doesn't seem to be what we agreed on, then you got to get a lot more suspicious about it.
Well, I think you need to take action, but I will say step 3 talked about techniques, and we are coming up on 3 minutes left here. The technique in step 3 is to be succinct and direct and remind them, Bob, remember when we talked about you yelling when the kids are over and you said you wouldn't do it anymore? You did it again, Bob. Please go apologize to the children. Short, succinct, and you ask him to remedy his action. Now, if he says, I'm not apologizing to, well, okay, you
Mhm.
got your
There you
answer.
go. There you go.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you do have to, well, if you want to succeed with this, even in your own mind to strengthen yourself, you do need to, when step 3 is when they come to demonstration and they fail at keeping their word about a changed behavior, you do need to point it out. Now,
Mhm.
is it going to change anything? No. Are they probably
Mhm.
going to give you backlash? Probably.
Yeah.
But what it will achieve is internal strength in you
Mhm. Mhm.
because you know you didn't let it slide.
Yeah.
You're holding
Yeah.
your own, and
Yeah.
that's why it's so important.
Yeah. You're not necessarily putting them on notice like with some of the other techniques and tactics we've talked about, that by reacting in a particular way, you're putting them on notice that you're aware.
You're paying attention.
Yeah, you're paying
You're
attention
paying
on.
attention. That's the key. You're absolutely right. It's that you're paying attention. It's not about confrontation. Get that out of your
Right.
head because if you think of it
Right.
that way, you're never going to do it.
No. Right. Right.
It's
Right. And some of the
letting
other
them know you're
tactics
paying attention.
Some of the other tactics we've given you do have very specific words, sentencing, tone, facial expression for that particular tactic in that moment. This one's a little bit different, which is why we're talking about it. It's a little bit different. So it consists of these 3 different parts. And these are the parts that we want you to be able to be comfortable with and to be able to measure when you get step number 3, and you have to follow it up. Did it get followed up? Did the behavior change or not? This is a different kind of a technique for application in all of the tactics. And if you're not in a manipulative relationship, this is a good way to find out if you are or not, because that step number 3 is going to give that person away.
Yep. It will reveal itself. And we would love to hear how you succeeded in
Mm,
applying these 3 steps.
yeah.
So, whatever social media platform you're hearing us on, I think you have to give StreamYard permission in order for you to be able to make comments live. We're still figuring all that out, and we will. In the meantime, please connect with us at outwitinrealtime.com. Just one, no hyphens, no dots, outwitinrealtime.com. You can subscribe there. We've got all our training built out now. on the platform. We're going to be doing some live in-person training, some live virtual, and we have an on-demand program you can download and do at your own pace. So we're excited about that. We've done no marketing, but we're getting traction. So we will be doing that. But Dennis, I'll let you wrap us up.
And we know we're being heard, and we're talking to some of you who are in countries far away from the USA where we are. We're heard in over 100 countries. We know that. So, but these kind of things exist everywhere in every culture. So please
Yes.
don't hesitate to reach out to us. Robin really means it when she says, reach out to us, and I do too. We're waiting to hear from you, and we love to get those reactions. So thank you for staying with us through this different kind of manipulation conversation today. Very important to you. They all are. Be with us again next Friday, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or wherever it is where you are. We'll be here. That's Robin Galinsky. I'm Dr. Dennis Becker. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.